People who, in many instances, have absolutely no clue what they are doing.
Episode 102 of Inane Blather. Welcome to July, or as we call it, Pride Month 2, Electric Boogaloo. Nice. Even, bigger and more prideier.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and gayer.
Folks, we got pronouns you've never heard before.
You won't want to hear again, and they're illegal in 6 counties, so be careful.
Yeah.
This is lit.
That's what I'm talking about, Alex. Just get out there and another parade float, just like, and running all over. Okay, and as you may have noticed, I got the drops on deck, so hopefully that's working okay. Either way, it's Inane Blather. Mm-hmm. We're cultivating an audience here, cultivating a vibe, one that really just brings to mind when if you have to describe what this podcast is, you just start rattling off free association. Everyone, weirdly enough, when we do that, everyone says the exact same thing in the exact same order. And they just say,
headstrong, stubborn, quibbling, self-centered, vindictive, obnoxious, hormonal, sexually preoccupied, evil, thieving, cross-dressing jerks.
How wild is that, huh?
It's like when in the movies people just break into a song, and everyone knows the words
yes.
and the moves. So,
except in real life.
Yeah. It really happens every time.
Okay, that's a good way to start. So, how is your day, Natalie? How's the weather? What's going on? What's going on over there?
Beautiful day. Beautiful. We've had quite a bit of a January here, as it's called, because, I remember when Humby first moved over to Seattle, it was like in March or something. They're like, at least it's only like a few weeks left of spring, right? And everyone was like, maybe like mid-June. And last year it was really warm, really early.
Somebody was lying.
Yeah.
There's somebody
thinking, like,
didn't do their
spring's only
research.
spring's till like, or maybe it was April, and they thought like, it'll be like May or whatever. And we're like, well, it's more like the weather this year has been very, very typical.
They're like, well, as they say, April showers bring May flowers, right? Right?
That's what they say, right? Yeah. Like, well,
not
April
around
showers
here,
bring
they
some
don't.
more rain in May and also June.
Yeah.
It doesn't rhyme, but it is
April
true.
showers bring May showers.
Yeah. And but also flowers, but also showers. It's been really nice. I think I like it when it's rainy in June because I'm so afraid of the fires. For the rest of the year.
Oh.
It's like really, it's really easy to forget and want the beautiful, perfect sunshine that we get here. But then when you think of the weeks that you spend inside with no air conditioning, you can barely open your windows because it's so smoky out. It's like deadly levels. Then it's like, I guess we can have some more rain early on.
It's crazy. I guess I never really thought about it. I've thought about how, all of the different geological zones in the lower 48. It's amazing. Proud to be an American. Where at least I know I'm free.
I can see all the kinds of different weather.
We've got such an amazing span across the continent and stuff, and all this different things. And we have a little microcosm here in Washington. We have all this different stuff. And I've even thought of that before. It's like, man, why would anyone live anywhere else? There's tornadoes in the Midwest. There's hurricanes on the East Coast and in the Southeast. Like, who does that? You're in the Northeast and you have like 8 feet of snow, and it's like, and just kind of take it for granted. It's like, over here we have earthquakes, which can be pretty devastating, and wildfires. And it's like, I guess if you're over in the real urbanized parts of the East Coast and stuff like that, you don't really have that. Over here on this side of the mountains in Washington, of course, we have brush fires that can really burn a lot. but also means, it's like there's generally not much out there. Although it'll take buildings sometimes, stuff like that. But when you get into the Cascades and there's a bad wildfire season or something like that, oh my God, it's crazy. I remember
Raging infernos
that
of
bad
huge
one in
trees.
the 90s.
Yeah,
Like the whole Wenatchee National Forest and stuff, and they just had firefighters and helicopters up there around the clock. Our uncle would go up there, he'd volunteer and he'd be helping people. He'd have his truck up there, and they're just doing whatever they can, because it's like, there's a bunch of firewood just growing out of the ground. So,
like a bunch.
It's like a big forest.
Yeah,
a forest
the
fire
evergreen
is
state.
scary. Yeah. Oh man. 2020, when it was the end of the world and stuff, and the California fires were so big, and then there were also fires in Oregon, and then there were also fires all over the place here in Washington, and it looked literally like Blade Runner 2049.
That was when, like, in
when
California,
the
the sky
sun
was
going
orange
down and stuff. Yeah. I mean, I'd step out of my house, and it would smell. It would smell then like how my house smells now, just smoke, and you'd get an itch in your throat and stuff like that just from being within so many miles of the nearest fire and how many were going on. I mean, it looked really cool in the sunsets. The more particles you have in the air,
you can
the
look
cooler
right at the sun.
sunset is.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But it was brutal. Yeah, you'd have like a layer of like smoky, ashy soot stuff like on your car in the morning and stuff like that when it all settled. And it's like, it would seem like, that you were able to see a fire going on from how smoky it was and how close it is. It's like, no, just the fires are that big and they get up into the atmosphere and travel around. So,
Wind patterns and
but
such. Yeah.
end of the day, fires, no big deal.
Yeah,
Fire
better than
takes
a
your house.
hurricane. Tell you that
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. See, the thing is, with my house burning down, my insurance is like, oh, of course we cover that. That's what insurance is for. But for some reason, your house gets destroyed in flooding from a hurricane. Like,
That's what you get for
actually,
living
your
in
policy
Louisiana.
doesn't cover that. Yeah, that's force majeure. Sorry. Like, oh my God, that's the kind of thing that drives you to, commit violent acts of terror and stuff like that.
If only. That's my coming. The 4th of July is coming up, and for all the founding fathers, all this kind of crap that they're so horrible and awful and blah blah blah, all these bad ideas and the way that they didn't live up to their ideals and all this kind of crap we know. At least they did something. They really rose up against some king and were like, no, let's do this thing though.
It was pretty wild.
Really, I was watching Hamilton for the 5th time with while our niece was here, and just imagining what it would take for people to really be so electrified by the thought, and really willing
Grease
to,
lightning.
I mean, really wanting to do something because people had this idea, how much I wish I could start a revolution against our corporatocracy or whatever. But they, for all of their slave-owning, women-hating ways, they did,
I don't even care that he's a misogynist.
they did do something.
Yeah.
I feel like that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Nowadays, revolutionary acts, I was just walking in and be like,
what is this? Just a couple guys having a conversation? Who the hell
Yeah.
wants to listen to that?
Nowadays, wow, I'm really gonna protest. I'm not gonna vote. I'm a revolutionary.
yeah, is not voting. Because of the presidential thing? Well, I mean, so I might as well just not vote in general, right? No.
Yeah. What does city council have to do if these are my two options for president?
You never know. Yeah, exactly. So school board, you can vote on that. Yeah, but and at least and there are people out there, people that we know that engage in a material action. Hopefully it does something. Hopefully it affects change here and there. And if they want to say, yeah, I don't participate in that. It's a sham. I'm like, okay, because, okay, here's the
Federally would agree, completely, wholeheartedly disagree on voting. If you don't vote in your local politics, you are part of the problem, because you know how you move the needle federally is by starting in your local politics. If you don't vote for your local electors, there's like literally been socialists on the Seattle City Council, outright full-throated socialists. That's how you do it. If you can not want to vote for anything federal or at some higher levels, but you can actually support candidates who push the needle in the direction you want it to go at a local level. That is just true.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you
gotta
don't vote
get your
for your local
sales tax
guys,
lowered somehow.
I
No.
mean, those are the people
Yeah, it's like,
genuinely affecting your lives.
It's
right
the
there.
reason that even over here, we finally we're finally getting a fucking water park here in Pasco.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, oh man, there's so much going on.
Yup.
Over in the new West Broadmoor area. They'll finally have an aquatic center. God, those lucky sons of bitches that owned that land, where that they held on to it for so long. It's just kind of been open for years and years, and there hasn't been development out there. And so then, finally they get things together. The city gets their plans in order. There's a $47 million start to it or something like that. Oh no, what was it? It was like it's like over $4 billion or something for the entire thing. I mean, they're building roads, they're building an aquatic center, they're doing all this stuff. But the guys who there's like 2 people or something, man, that finally just held out and sold their plots to the city for like $47 million or something like that. I was reading in the Herald. I was like, God, Jesus. It's like, so not only like, on one hand it's like, wow, get that bag. It's like, no, fuck you. This land's just been sitting there. It could have been used for stuff like this.
They really worked for that by like literally doing nothing with land that they never improved upon by paying some taxes a little bit on something, by being able to afford this. Man, you guys are just like masters of innovation. Talk about entrepreneurs holding on to land that you bought 30 years ago and didn't do anything with, and just waited and waited until it was like an opportunity.
Until things fell through multiple times trying to get the city on board because of voting in local, elections, and for, ballot initiatives and stuff for Franklin County, and things failing because people didn't want to pay higher taxes. They finally got it up to, I mean, if you're here in Pasco, sales tax is like 8.9%. It used to be always the lowest one in the Tri-Cities. And it's, and they're, I don't know, they did something with property taxes. I just moved here, all right, but I've been reading about it for years, since when I lived in the Tri-Cities before. And it's just like, on one hand, you talk to anyone from around here where it's like, yeah, isn't that weird? There's no aquatic center here. Isn't it weird? There's no water park in like this.
It's 100 degrees every single summer.
Yeah. I'm sure next week is usually the week. It's always right after 4th of July where it's like, oh yeah, that's when it hits 112 degrees outside,
like
and it's
super
like,
hot.
oh, so I mean,
Super
either people
sunny.
can go down and swim where they can in the river with a pretty
Extremely
decent current.
Strong current, very,
Yes.
very strong, very dangerous current for little kids. It is a mighty, mighty river that powers our state with this hydropower.
Yes.
It's the 4th largest river in America.
Yeah, it's like you go down to those, or it's like, or they just happen to be lucky enough to, be wealthy or have friends who have a fucking boat, Otherwise, people are leaving the Tri-Cities to go somewhere where there's a water park, or either that, or there's like, oh, there's a couple of pretty cool aquatic centers here in the Tri-Cities if you're a member of the the racket club or something like that, and it's like, why? It's a no-brainer.
Pay $50 a month, to go to the pool or whatever.
That seems cheap. I'm sure it's more than that, but it's like, yeah, I paid $40 a month for Club 24. There's no fucking pools. There's no lazy river at those.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Creativity to me.
I don't know what that was about. But yeah, to all those people who didn't want to pay a little bit more in sales tax so that we could get projects like this going.
You're ugly. You're disgusting. I'm going to kill you.
And I say
The
that as
problem-
someone who has only lived in Pasco for 3 weeks.
I used to live in Pasco, and
Yeah, that's right.
And
I
the
liked your
thing
place
with
in
the
Pasco.
with the Tri-Cities is that it sucks. Like it's
Mhm.
like no, but
Yeah.
it's that it's
There's so much potential.
Tri-Cities, that
Yeah.
it's 3 different cities that don't want to share the burden. It's really giving. So I just watched Hamilton for the 5th time, like I said before, but it was like
Okay,
talking about how the
okay,
southern states, they're
okay.
like,
Shut
why
the
should
hell
we
up,
have
bitch.
to?
No, I'm just kidding.
Why should we have to foot the bill? You guys are in debt. Why should Virginia have to pay the, like really wanting like these separate, sort of the idea of independence from other things, which is, it's a cool thing about America. And it's also one of our biggest downfalls is like extreme
Yeah.
independence. And I think the Tri-Cities
Double-edged
is a great
sword.
example of that. Yeah. Where it's like, why Kennewick couldn't get like a legit like theater there. Like they couldn't get a theater. They have the Toyota Center, but they're not attracting the kind of bigger,
Yeah.
cooler events that they
Like
could.
an amphitheater.
Yes,
kind of
and
thing.
like that they could have like real cool like Tri-Cities has as many people as Spokane. It's the 3rd largest metropolitan area in Washington state. You could have
Yeah.
really like it could actually be a stop for people to come and like you could really see some
Yeah, Highway
cool
395
events.
goes right through it.
It's,
yeah.
There's a huge river right
The whole
there.
thing
You
for the
know,
West
it's like
Coast.
you have like
Yeah.
these kinds of things. But
300 days
because
of sunshine.
Richland and Pasco wouldn't be footing the bill for this or helping, and Kennewick's like, we can't pay for this all of our own, and you guys are going to benefit from it. People in Richland, those businesses are going to benefit from all these people coming into here to Kennewick to see these shows. Pasco too, especially Richland and Kennewick, they're like literally like across the street from each other. It
Oh, yeah.
it really
There's
is
an
a
entire
bummer,
area
like,
here in the Tri-Cities
yeah.
where it's like, I don't know which city I'm in right now. It's like, yeah, they're just one big,
The city
you're
of
technically in
Pasco is at
Richland
least
right now.
across the river from them, so it makes sense for
Yeah,
Pasco to be
and
different.
Pasco's right there.
but-
But it's like there's 3 major bridges you could easily cross.
Major bridges? Yeah.
Yes, and Admiral Avenue.
Oh, yeah, I was over on Admiral Avenue. Do you know that's what song that is? Thank you.
but
I deserve it.
but let's see. Oh, well, I was booing myself. No, I like the singing edition way more. But yeah, it's funny. So this is all local stuff, but who knows? People like hearing it.
If they don't,
yeah, like
too
so.
bad.
Richland,
Sit
Washington.
down and shut up.
And anyone who lives around here, they're like, well, I mean, I'd like to live in Richland. Richland's nice. And it is. And it's like, there's just been, I mean, this separation just shows that things can be nice. They can be put together nicely. There's a little parkway in downtown area. There's a lot of walking stuff in downtown Richland that you can do, and it's all near the nicest parks in the Tri-Cities with access for everyone to swim in that river at actual swimming areas. And there's a small, amphitheater area. Every week, the Live at 5 thing, there's vendors, live music, stuff for kids. You just walk in. It's free, it's amazing. And it's like so
hot
this
summer
is
nights over there
possible.
and stuff,
Imagine
yeah.
if we did that with the, almost 300,000 person metro area here, and as like one city, it's like what you could accomplish. And it's like Kennewick is the biggest one, and they're still working on doing all their downtown stuff, and it's just faltering, and it's frustrating.
Yeah,
But
Richland is
city
also
planning
like
and
where
all
all the
that
money
is-
is. Like the
Yeah,
median
that's what I'm
income
saying.
was like, oh, it's crazy because of the people working at the
Because
nuclear
the
plant,
money's
people working at
there.
the research lab, and them not wanting to share because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
because people think Richland is nice and they think that too. They don't
Yeah.
want to help out Pasco. They don't want to help out Kennewick. They're like, we're Richland. We were here. We made the atom bomb. What are you guys going to do?
And it's very easy to look into the long-lasting effects of sundown towns, redlining, stuff like that in the Tri-Cities, and how, I mean, that's part of a national conversation. They talk about these effects of systemic racism, at redlining especially. It's like, it's so obvious if you come to the Tri-Cities. Like, I mean, so East Pasco is the ghetto, so-called. It's like, it's old, it's where the train tracks go through. It's near the industrial port, and it's the poorest area, one of the poorest areas in the Tri-Cities. And it's like, yeah, because, 75 years ago even, like, it was the law. Like, there were so many people that worked constructing things at the Hanford nuclear site, working on all of that so important stuff that made this area, moneyed and stuff, and they weren't allowed to live in Richland, the place where the work was. They had to, like, a lot of the housing and stuff that's just still standing in now the poorer part of the Tri-Cities is where people would have to live, and they'd have to travel 40 minutes, every day out to the site and work and stuff like that. In Kennewick, until, through the Jim Crow era, it was a sundown town. Sunset, whatever it's called. I mean, if you were black or especially here, Mexican or Central American, you don't get seen out after the sun goes down. You'll just go to jail. And it's like, and you can see the effects of that. And it's like, where I live now, to dox myself and stuff like that, over on the western half of it, where it's like, wow, all this stuff, it's new. They really developed a lot over the past, 30 years and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, there's like a line of demarcation here, and you can see how it affected this entire city just from, 60, 75 years ago or something like that. Because that's where white people could live. That's where money went. That's where, real estate development got focused. And suddenly all of that opened up, and now it's like, well, yeah, that's the nice part of town. It's like, of course, now if you're black or you're Hispanic or something, you can live there. But it just shows like that generational effect of those, racist, codes and stuff like that were common all over the place. This is in Washington State, in a place that no one knows about, that now has all these people. And it's like, it wasn't in Alabama, but it existed everywhere. I remember doing a paper on it in one of my business classes here, and it even surprising me, because it's like, I thought that, of course you look into it and there will be something like that in any city that's been around for like 50 years, but it's like, oh no, it was very much like that around here. Like, good Lord. But anyway.
Yeah, that's, our little city of Seattle, so progressive. Oh man, that's red line districts and crap like that.
Yeah. And
that's
it's hard
very
to...
much. It's like in like Kelsey has said, like in these real estate contract, whatever, like she's looked through. It's like some of these places, it is in here in Washington, and it's like, well, Washington, it kind of seems that way. Oregon, our little progressive neighbors to the south of us, founded as a whites only state. Mm-hmm. So we can just learn our lesson a little bit faster, because it's not maybe as ingrained in us as it is in old Alabama, but we sure started off on the same wrong foot. But
and you look in the big cities, and it's what sucks is that it's interesting to learn these things too, especially when you have an open mind, or a perspective of being anti-racist and stuff like that. They're like, oh, look at how these effects are so long lasting, and hey, what can we do to adjust this, change this, especially going forward, but how to reinvent current infrastructure to, help lift people up and be more inclusive and yada, yada, yada. I hate that I mean, I hate everything that racist people do, but, just that immediate reaction of like, ugh, that's just liberal hogwash. It's a bunch of malarkey, as our racist president would say. No, but how, those interesting factors that you'll see in a place like Seattle, where, these contracts got won and the highway was put here for many reasons, including them wanting to cut off certain neighborhoods from other ones, to put up a barrier, and the way that affected real estate in those areas and created, low income places. And then that filters from something interesting and academic to right-wing idiots saying like, oh, now the libs think that roads are racist. Oh, I guess roads are racist now. Everything's racist. It's like, if you want to shut your fucking mouth for 1 second and actually look into this, it's like, yeah. I mean, isn't that interesting? Like, why are you so defensive? You didn't build the road. I'm not calling you racist, even though you are. It's like, why are you so defensive about it? Why don't you learn about it and be like, wow, that's interesting how these racists used urban planning to cordon off minorities, Like, come on. Like, it drives me crazy.
They get defensive.
They see it and they're just like,
oh, how I wish I could believe or understand that.
Literally.
They get defensive because that is what they want. That's what they say,
yeah.
Make America great again. They're talking about black people and Latino people not being outside at night. They're talking about like how the motherfucking Supreme Court is bringing us back to whatever fucking year where it's like literally now it's going to be illegal in places to be homeless. Like it's like really like illegal. Like cities can just like, like really round up these unhoused people like they've been chomping at the bit to do and just throw them in jail for this, the crime of being poor.
Throw them in a jail that they don't want to financially support. Yeah, and they want to make sure it doesn't help those people in any way whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm not really sure who this is supposed to help or why it's supposed to or what the Supreme Court. I just, that was a conversation at work today.
Who that's supposed to help.
But not really because I know the effects of this.
Business owners.
But it's like, but in the long term,
just in general, homeless people are gross. It's that simple. They don't want them around. If there's a way that you can clean them up, if you can clean up the street in front of my office building or in front of my my retail store, go for it.
But it doesn't do it in the long term. It's like you're spending all this money on like prison populations and people and like all these kinds of things. Well, I mean, it's really, really gross. It's really gross that
it's disappointing.
Yeah, I just find the Supreme Court always has been something that I've never really gotten over the fact that they have lifetime appointments. I think it's a weird thing to do. I think it's perfect for
becoming
weird
enough
corrupt
that they wear the robes
out of
without
touch.
wigs.
There's only 9 of them, and it just doesn't seem like a good idea. I don't know why anyone would ever have a lifetime appointment for anything. I don't know who that right there. I feel like so much of the problem with fucking America is like the founding fathers, some of these, like whatever, these things that they wrote down or what they were trying to do or whatever you want to say, great. The people themselves, racist, horrible, misogynist, enslaved people, those kinds of things. So can we stop with like this hero worship? These Supreme Court justices, I don't give a shit what their names are. I don't really give a fuck about who they are. I don't really care who the president is, really honestly. I don't care about individuals because that's not what it's about. They are nobody. One person is nobody. In the whole history of time, you're less than nothing to humanity. It's about systems. It's about ideas that don't belong to you. You are discovering these things. You didn't make this up. Nobody makes things up. They understand them, is what I think. And the more we focus, like being called Mr. President after you're not the president anymore. No,
the big thing.
You should not be ever referred to as president when you're not the president. I don't care. You don't get to be former Mr. President. You're just Mr. Trump now. You're just Mr. Obama. I don't care. I don't care. That's not like it's such just.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a huge part of our problem, and part of problems like, and this is leftist, too, like Marxist and Stalinist and all this stuff. It's like, guys, it's not about him. It's not about these people. It's about these ideas that we're now learning and growing from. It's about how it affects like systems broadly. It's like about so much more than one person. And so having 9 people set for life deciding, laws that are affecting literally billions of people on a broad
350 million
scale.
Here. Yeah.
mean,
And those, it's like, affecting every American, affecting,
taking
having
away
a
the
domino
EPA's
effect
control to
on
do anything
other-
about like environmental stuff is like, well, I don't know what that's going to do to the motherfucking
Giving the
environment.
president
I
immunity.
don't know if you knew it
Did you see
affects
that
like
one?
yeah, well, they're kicking that back, so it's going to be some other fucking court's problem
Why?
or whatever. Or they're
Why kick this back? Take advantage. Oh, sorry. You gave the president immunity to get away with stuff. Oh, shoot, Biden's still the president. Okay. Do something, Biden. Why don't you just do something? Why don't you take Trump off of the ballot and see what they can do? What is the Supreme Court
yeah,
gonna
it's like
do?
it was a national, it was like for national security reasons because he's telling his taxi driver some national secrets or whatever. You know what I wrote
Yeah.
down is why can't the left normalize things? How come the right is out here normalizing Nazi behavior, normalizing like straight up like these pedophiles talking about age of consent, normalizing, racism, misogyny, all this kind of crap. What they're saying, all that kind of crap, people becoming more and more comfortable with it. Why can't the left do that with like socialism? Like, why are we not capable of like pushing, if they're, and then it's like, so they're getting more and more extreme and we're trying to meet in the middle. Do you know where that makes that middle? It's like,
Further to
why
the
can't
right.
we, though, people
And then
talk
people
about
complain, they're like,
crazy
the
left,
left
and
has
I'm
just
like,
gone crazy. They left
like,
me here. It's like, no.
what? It's like, in what way? Where does
Just
the left
because
have
you have
any
to
control?
refer to someone
and
as
where,
a they means
and
that the
why
left...
are they extreme? It's like,
Yeah.
because you think that leftists are like literally just taking babies that are just birthed and stabbing them in the face or something because you're
No,
literally the dumbest
they
person I've ever
stomp on
met.
them on a dirty floor.
I
As
talked to
they
people at the
should.
doors. People would really believe that. That's one guy. He's like,
Oh my
Obama saying we're doing
God.
this and that to the fetuses and stuff. And I was like, you're wrong. You're just
Like,
wrong. I hope
you're
you know that.
just-
That's not true.
You're just an
It's like,
asshole. You don't know anything. Like,
just like that's just really not true. But yeah, it's
Well, you know why? I mean, my answer to that would be it's easier for the right to normalize things because
those were the things that were
what
normal.
Yes, what is extreme on their end is always returning back, to turning back the clock on things that have, systems that already existed in that way before. Things that are oppressive to women and minorities. It's
happening
like
in
that's how
Finland
things
and
work.
Denmark.
So it's easier. Well, I'm just saying it's easier for them to.
It's easier because they're better at it. Because they're better about just saying
politically,
stuff too.
but I'm
because
saying
you know what the Democrats
overall,
could do with
very
this bullshit
broad.
about the Supreme Court and homelessness? Do you know what Finland did to cure their homelessness? They didn't arrest people. They literally built homes.
Yeah.
Like they did that, and it's not some crazy thing that it's just like an idea. People do other things in other countries, which is like
But
something
that's not
that
America,
with our dad, I was
so
like, change
we're
takes
not
time.
gonna
And I'm
do
like, this
that.
is not like too quick. This is already happening around the world. We're just behind.
Yes.
So like
That is one thing. I'm
play
saying
catch
like
up.
as in a broad concept, progress is more difficult because doing new things scare people, and old things, whether they were good or even if those same people think that they're good or bad, old things they already existed that way. So it's like it's just tougher and slower to make progress in general, and sometimes that comes down to forcing people to adapt to whatever progress it is, because then they'll finally experience it. It won't be new, and they realize that, oh, LGBTQ people existing in public didn't kill you, actually. And you'll be okay, but they have to experience it first. So, and then in doing so, in forcing people to succumb to a progressive agenda and very simple, basic things that exist in other parts of the world, then you seem authoritarian, by making people experience life in a better way. But speaking of the radical left, I know we're kind of late on this, but radical leftists, Palestinian President Joe Biden was in a debate. And I know we're not going to do like a debate recap, but of course we talked about it a lot. It was so infuriating. I did write on here, I said, the debate felt like a Vic Berger edit in real time. It was so
Joe Biden's
bad.
reactions,
I was
especially.
just
Good
surprised
God.
to not hear an air horn at one point. Just or
Bring
like,
it into the rice. Yeah.
yeah, and he was like, Joe Biden, he felt sick.
like,
He's like, I haven't
"Basta."
eaten in about 5 hours. But
What are you gonna do with the doo doo?
yeah, I mean, the problem is, I don't think there was a standout point for Joe Biden that gave me this reaction.
Now that's the first goddamn thing you've ever said that made one piece of fucking sense.
But
Yeah. it's more
it
like-
just sucked. It's like I'm already seen as some anti-Bidenite, just because, like I said, he's the president.
If
The
you're
Democrats
pro-Biden,
yeah.
you're a loser. Like, I mean, if he was your first choice of any
But
person in the
it's
United
like-
States, you're really not the kind of person I think should have the right to vote.
And it's like, and I don't want
just
Trump to
kidding.
win. Despite what all of these Biden things think about us on the left, where they're like, well, you're just pro-Trump. See, the mask slipped. You guys are just fascists. You're pro-Trump. You want Trump to win. Good Lord. I swear to God, IQ isn't real, but yours is still at an 86.
That's like the
post
most
any
childish-
presidential debate. Like
So
things
incredibly
are
childish.
more complicated than that.
Black and white.
And not by much. It's not complicated, but it's more complicated than that. But it's just like, still, I would much rather be pleasantly surprised and be like, oh, you know what? I disagree with Biden on a lot of stuff, but he did a good job. Thank God. Thank God he put that piece of shit human being in his place for an hour, No, he couldn't even do that.
He got spanked.
And it's like, I also wrote, I was just like, when it comes down to it, you know what? When it comes down to it, you are the president of the United States. You're on the debate stage across from a convicted felon that keeps lying and saying nonsensical bullshit, and you do nothing to stop it. And you are the fucking president. Like, there was no air of gravitas. There was nothing. There was no confidence.
He's the
of
commander-in-chief.
The fact that you, are the commander-in-chief and executive leader of the most powerful nation in the history of humanity. And, like, you're across from this
That's Joe
fucking
Biden.
orange-faced,
Oh my God.
redacted, like, serial lying,
Liar.
actual
Liar.
convicted criminal who's lost the popular vote twice already, and you still let him steamroll you. Like, it's like they didn't do any
Okay.
preparation when
I
you've
want-
had 8 years of preparation.
Preparation H. Yeah.
Yeah,
I want
that's all
what I
Joe
want
Biden could think about.
Your Twitter followers to answer my motherfucking question is say, so you're really proud of the way that Joe Biden answered that question about abortion? That was a winning answer for you then. That's what this is. If you could write down an answer for your candidate, you would write that down. You would start bringing up how a woman was murdered by an immigrant. That would be your answer. Well, then you're dumb as a fucking rock. I'm surprised you're not a Trump supporter, you fucking idiot. He whiffed it so hard on that. I wanted to like rip my own brain out at the brain stem to not have to remember what a horrible, it was like, not just a horrible answer. He sounded like he got confused and all this kind of crap. And it was like one of the most slam dunk, strongly supported issues in the entire United States, regardless of what state you live in. You want to talk about the problems with this, you talk about whatever increase in Texas of literal dead babies happening because of this ban, dead women on the rise. The slam dunk answer that Joe had about, hey, that's like sending the civil rights back to the states. That's not what we do. This is like something that, that I was like, that's a great answer.
Easy.
And then
Easy peasy.
Keeps talking and blah, 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 and sets Trump. That's like a alley-oop situation where he's like, here you go, Trump, just absolutely dunk on this. Afterwards, talk about those are the people that you let into the country that are raping and murdering our women, that blah, 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 blah. If you are a Biden stan, answer me that. Is that how you want your president to answer a question about abortion?
If you are a Biden stan,
go kill yourself. Go sit in the middle of the road and let a car run over you.
We beat Medicare.
If you're a Biden stan,
I hope you get ass cancer and die, you son of a bitch. I'll cut your throat. I'll come to your house and kill your children.
Yeah, but
I'm gonna vote for Joe Biden.
Like,
golly. And it's like, but can't I do it begrudgingly? Can't I have my own opinions too? Isn't the left supposed to be like this big, huge tent where I can say, I am going to vote, I'm going to support this person, but I do not like their policies. And it is because he's the lesser of two evils. It is because the other guy is a straight up admitted fascist who admires strongmen, who said he would be a dictator for a day.
He was already a bad president. He's already been a president. He was bad
literally
at it.
helped us do an insurrection. I mean, come on, guys. He was like, Ukraine, I'll give you some of this, but you got to do me a favor, though. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And he did this, and he did that, and he did this, and then he did that. Shithole countries, and Muslim ban, and kids in cages, all this kind of crap.
He was such a bad president that
He was such a bad
defeating
president.
him should be
It should be
easy.
so easy.
And you're making it so hard. So there
Because
are some
you
decisions
suck, not
where
because
it's
I'm
like,
stupid.
the fact that
It's not
he's not
because
being
I'm-
replaced is just like Democrats
Where's
just
Gavin
want to
Newsom?
lose. Like, not even talking. No, just and on top of that, like I'm no Kamala Harris fan, and a lot of people on the left aren't. Of course,
Because you just fell out of a coconut tree.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people, they don't take kindly to cops, but it's like, but at the least, it's like, oh, well, you want to just upend everything, put the Democratic Party into chaos by having him step down and blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, so then what was that?
I
don't know what that was.
It was a Biden stand hacking into your computer.
Someone's listening to me.
Yeah, right. They're all like 65 years old and just like really mad that people are saying how old
people
he
are
is.
listening to them right now and stealing their information. It's like, but anyway, it's like, fine. Kamala Harris. Yeah, at least project some stability, but as in like, okay, we're continuing on. This is the same administration. It's the Biden-Harris administration. So, you know what? He's going to have to step down for the good of his family, for the good of the country. Harris is going to step up. She was already vice president, and then pick your Newsom or Whitmer or whoever it might be, just to shore it up, Not Bernie Sanders, because he needs to be in the Senate, unfortunately. It's like, and he's not. You don't need to pick another 80-year-old man.
He's actually a year older than Joe Biden.
Oh,
and
man,
I was really
he's
surprised. I was
spry.
like,
Yeah.
man. It's
And
that
it's
head
like,
of hair.
he's a
It'll get ya.
year older than Joe Biden, yet he's the one that has like an interesting podcast conversation with Cardi B. It's like, this was your guy. God damn it, the Democrats. But anyway.
And what does it mean to throw your party in chaos? By what? You think we're too fucking stupid to understand to vote for the other the other person who has
Just
a
look
D
at-
next to their name in the elections? You stupid
Just
idiots.
look at
We just don't want Trump to
1968.
win. And we
Like,
don't
talk about chaos, and the Democrats did lose, but not by much. It wasn't. It wasn't a blowout like 1972. It was like this contested convention. It went to the convention after LBJ decided he would not be seeking the nomination, stepped away, and unfortunately, I mean, you can blame Democratic incompetence, but on top of that, like, honestly, Richard Nixon and his campaign machine and stuff just doing a really great job of fucking them over. Like, I mean, just real dirty politics that worked, you know? I mean, the term rat fucking comes from the 1968 election. So it's like all of that, like, way more chaos than what could possibly happen here right now. When if Biden stepped away, everyone would be like, "Man, that's understandable."
Yeah.
Like, it's like
He's
we're
80.
not. Yeah, it's like, wow, okay, cool. Who's stepping up? Cool, thank you. Because it's like the Democratic base, they'll talk and talk and talk about how, no, I'm voting Biden no matter what. He doesn't need to step down. He's great, blah, blah, blah.
fuck?
And it's like, and you know what? And if he steps away and someone else fills his place, they're still gonna fucking vote for them. They will vote for Kamala Harris with a shit-eating grin and, like, you know, something funny that I can't come up with right now, but
So forget about it, cuz.
but it's like, so don't worry about those people. Don't worry about what the so-called base, you know, the vocal base of the Democratic Party, at least. It's like, and if you're gonna go on with the identity politics stuff, as they often do, and be like, well, the real base, you know, black women or something like that, it's like, do you think that moving Kamala Harris into that position is gonna lose those voters instead of
No,
Joe
Joe Biden is their
People
guy.
don't want to fucking vote for Joe Biden. People don't think he should be president. Like, the numbers are all there, and you know what? And he's been either neck and neck or losing in polls in swing states for months. For months. Like, the fact that you can lose this election right now is a testament to a sheer magnitude of incompetence that is pretty much incomprehensible. It is embarrassing. It's like, and completely put aside, like, whether you think Joe Biden is a good person or has good policies or is an effective president, put aside all of that and look at a presidential campaign and who could win. And you'd look at it and be like, no, Joe Biden, they need someone different, or they need to do something radically different. Like, it doesn't matter what these policies are and stuff like that, and how the left and the centrists are going to squabble about, the border or Gaza or anything like that. It's the fact that it's like, when it comes down to it, he's going to fucking lose. Like, do you want to win or not? Because what's happening right now is not a winning strategy. End of discussion.
And
like,
do you want to hear what we're having to say? Also, it's not like we're just being spoiled little bitches that are like, I don't want to vote for Joe because he's white or whatever. It's like, I would very happily be out here if Gavin Newsom or someone like that, even though he's like, I'm not as progressive as I would want. You know, I'm some like crazy left-wing person, but I'd be way happier like voting someone that seemed a little more aligned with my interests, that more competent, not 81 years old, able to finish a sentence. It feels just like, you know, like the bar is very, very low for what we're asking, because Trump is just like, we're like, obviously we don't want Trump. We don't want Trump. We don't want Trump. He's a pathological liar. All these things, it seems like exactly like you're saying. It just makes you wonder. That literally he just sits there and lies and lies and lies and lies and lies, and he's overshadowed by Biden's stumbling, stuttering, demented old man posturing.
Trump being a lying fascist, we know. We're all used to this.
Nothing has changed there.
Yes. Nothing's worse. Nothing's better. It's the same shit. And like just going out and screaming from the rooftops that, no, actually, it's going to be much worse. You have no idea. And if you don't vote for Joe, good luck in the camps, is not a winning campaign strategy. Like, it just doesn't work. And it's like, that's what makes it like the most cynical part of all of it is like, no, you refuse to listen to us saying we actually don't want Trump, but we either don't like Biden or don't think Biden can win.
ineffective.
Yeah. And it's like, but we don't want Trump. And it's like, but then it makes you think, does the Democratic Party, are they okay with Trump? Because the more that this continues, the more I truly believe they don't mind one bit. Like, and
helps
it
them with their
really is
fundraising.
cynical, purely just like a campaign dialogue that leads them to say, oh, look how bad and fascist Trump will be. Look at these lies. Look at this. Look at who he's going to appoint here. Like, and look at, oh my gosh, he's going to dismantle the entire administrative state and send us into a fascist hellhole. It's like, why are you telling me this? Like, do you care though? Like, why are you telling me this?
And,
like, my vote for Joe Biden or Trump or whatever, for one, doesn't matter. It's the Electoral College. I don't care. If we came closer, then yeah, I'd vote for Joe Biden, but it doesn't matter. I got other things to vote for. But it's like, what do you expect us to do about this other than vote for this guy that we don't like? Like, you don't care. You're going to raise way more money. You have stuff to yell about. That's somewhere in these notes too, and I think about it so often. It's like, especially if you, the centrist lib, blue MAGA, Biden bro type of person, just the DNC slobberer, like, if you don't believe that I actually don't want Trump, because I have criticism of Biden, then whatever. It's like, it makes it even tougher to admit that it's like, you know what? The silver linings, the unfortunate, cynical, disgusting silver linings of Trump winning again is the fact that suddenly the Democratic establishment is back on our side, is back on the left side, is suddenly rabidly against draconian border policies, and qualified immunity and police brutality, and against corporate, takeover of, departments of the government. Then suddenly the whole Democratic establishment is on the same page with us if Trump's in power. Because it's like, the whole border thing, was it you that said it, or I saw it on Twitter or something, that's like, the fact that we're starting from like an accepted status quo position is that the border crisis is even a thing is a bad sign. Like, if Trump was in power and he'd just be saying and was saying the things that Joe Biden said,
or
yes,
aliens or whatever,
and he was saying this stuff, they would be foaming at the mouth and talking about hashtag abolish ICE. When was the last time you saw anyone talking about abolish ICE that wasn't an actual, like, leftist, the type of person that doesn't like Joe Biden? It's like, it sickens me. It's like, you just look back, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. In 2020, when Trump was in power, and we were having real, like, debates within the Democratic Party on TV, they were actually talking about what defund the police meant. That doesn't happen.
And now he's like,
with Joe
I'm
Biden
putting
as
more
president.
police out on the street.
Yeah.
That's what he said in the debate.
Yeah. I mean,
And,
it's like, Joe Biden is someone who's very reluctantly pro-choice. Like, he's always been pretty pro-life. Yeah. He's been always very pro, like, police and enforcement. I mean, he was an architect of the '94 crime bill, for Christ's sake. You know, I mean, when it comes down to it, like on the abortion question, Bernie, sorry, God dang it. I was going to say Biden just says,
the American people are tired of women
and their views, you know, as half of America, you know. But anyway, it's just.
What I think is that the left, like people in power or whatever, it's like, you know, also your stance being, oh, right wing, blah, blah, blah. So what are you doing to help people feel less disenfranchised so they don't feel like they have to be drawn to a fascist leader that is like, you know, in talking about watching Hamilton, and I said something about, man, imagine Alexander Hamilton out here like in crowds and like being an electrifying speaker, and really it would be like, whoa, and like what that would mean. And
he
Humvee
rapped
was like, yeah,
back
like
then. It was
he'd
crazy.
be like Trump.
He was an MC.
He'd be like Trump.
Yeah.
Like how Trump makes people feel in the crowd. He is really out there. He's like a showman kind of guy that gets people like all worked up about things that are, even with all this privilege and like poor white people, like, you know, and working class white people, we have grievances too. You know, we are not affected by the system in the same way, but we're angry and poor. And
I wonder
he's like,
how people fall for this stuff, or how they fall into it. It's like, have you ever heard of a little guy named Adolf Hitler? Like, we look back at it, and it's just like, how could anyone, like, he's a psycho, anti-Semite, and started his genocidal campaign well before the United States was in World War II. How could people go into that? It's like, you're seeing that everywhere. Like, how people fall for fascism
and
is people's material conditions are crumbling, and you won't give them the support that they need, or let them fall into your embrace, like ideologically, politically, and materially. And it's like, this stuff happens. It's so plain. Like, God.
And, you know, it would have been helpful if the DNC would have just let Bernie have the nomination. And because you know what? A lot of Trump supporters, what they really truly wanted was Bernie. They wanted an older guy. You know what? They're still, if you're racist, whatever,
Something that was
he's
different.
an older white guy or whatever. He's Jewish, whatever. He's white, you know.
Yeah.
Telling you like it is. He's pointing. He's being strict, and he's saying things that you know are true too. And you know what the difference is?
And he's an independent.
Well, besides the truthful part is that he actually gives a shit about you.
Yes.
He actually is willing to have his taxes raised. He is willing to have people like him be affected by these bills that he wants to pass, you know, and people that are wealthy, whatever. He was out there saying the same thing for decades about healthcare, all this kind of stuff. And he told it. He's straight. He's to the point. You know, he's going to, hey, okay. You know, he's going to have,
no matter how much Trump
got
lies,
presence and all this kind of stuff.
That's been his thing to these huge swaths of the American public, where you just have to realize, like, people aren't, you know, we're not all academics. Like, these are regular people you have to talk to. They will be swayed into someone who they believe, quote unquote, tells it like it is, speaks for them. Even though Trump is just pulling the wool over their eyes and he's lying about it. Too bad.
That's what they were looking for.
Yes.
That's what I mean. It's like, these people are not, and they're not just like stupid. They're not stupid people. They're people that you know, people that you love, people that you respect and admire. You know, it's like what they're looking for. The Democrats are in no way giving them anything to hope for from them. They're giving nothing to help their material conditions to make them less stressed so they can have a little bit of time to think about this. They're not thinking about ahead of the time. It's just pretty much like, Trump bad, his supporters, whatever, you know, it's like, that's like 75 million people that you guys are supposed to be wanting to represent too. You're supposed to be like reaching out to them with something that's supposed to like help people, but all you're doing is trying to convince us that a man who's literally going senile in front of our eyes is the only option for us. And that's all that we can,
spot on.
That's it, period.
You're nailing it. I was going to say and you know, what type of guy these people would like? What type of guy was like
Joe
kind
Biden
of a tells
30
it like
years
it
ago.
is? Yes! I was going to say Joe Biden in 2008 or 2012. Yeah. Perfect. But that's not him. That's not him anymore. It's not his time,
He's an old
and he's
man.
too old. That's it.
He was the perfect VP for Obama. They were a great team. I think that was great, and that's where it should have ended. I was so mad when he ran for president. And I feel like these are all just legitimate grievances that leftists can have, and just we should be able to be like more unbiased about it as leftists and not be so goddamn defensive, where it's like, you know, we can say that we've made some mistakes here, you know, in thinking whatever they did with Hillary in 2016 or blah, 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 blah. Hillary losing her own campaign by being a horrible candidate, you know, and just like
being this person that everyone hates, you know. No.
Yeah, like not our fault that people that we just always have to be the ones. They can just do whatever they want to do, and we have to be the ones to hold our nose and do the hard thing when they don't have to do the hard thing.
Yeah.
They are the hard thing. They're the one making it goddamn difficult for us. It's like, we're the ones who have to suffer. You motherfuckers, nothing changes or it only gets better for you. So we're the ones have to compromise on our morals. You obviously don't have any because look at what you do.
Look at now. Look at the things right now.
See, look around.
I, American voter, speak to me, because things now, not good.
Not good.
Good.
Ever heard of Gaza?
And
I hope you get ass cancer and die, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So
number one, best case scenario. We'll just lay it out. Best case scenario, dream scenario. Biden talks about stepping back. They're already talking about who Harris would bring in. And then right when they're in those conversations, Donald Trump fucking dies. Man.
See, if my life
How
a movie,
great would that
and
be?
sometimes I can hope for things like that, where it's just like, oh man, that really just really worked
It's like,
out.
Just get
that just
this
really
guy out of here.
get him out of here. I wish he would have gone to the space
a double
or something.
cheeseburger heart attack. You know, or you just, you know what? Just leave him be. He goes peacefully in his sleep. You know,
Sure.
the word doesn't really get
Surrounded
out in
by all his
public
friends
as
and
to
family,
how
so he's just
full
like
of
in
shit
a room
his
alone.
bed was. All those people had to
Yeah.
clean it up, and they just took that copy of Mein Kampf off of his nightstand and tossed it away before anyone really had time to write about it in the Washington
book on
Post.
his nightstand.
Yeah. Well, it's dusty. It's a
And
dusty
you open
book.
it up and there's a cheeseburger in it.
Yeah, it's a hollowed out book where you'd have a gun and there's just like
mashed potatoes. Yeah.
yes, with a broken part of a spoon. You know, he was going too fast and he has to use
died doing
the
what he
bottom
loved,
half of
for
the
sure.
plastic spoon.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Doug he's the real deal.
okay. Shout out to everybody. Thanks for everyone coming back. Shout out to R.M. Brown, our Lord and Savior, who I saw a YouTube short when he was over in New York City. So it was R.M. Brown out in natural sunlight, looking good, looking chiseled.
Oh, he looking real good.
Looking sexy. No,
like
but
a snack.
yeah. Sorry. No. I didn't mean it.
Honestly,
No,
he was looking like a crackhead.
But yeah, just call a crackhead. What is this? Happy birthday! I didn't know I had that in here. Okay. So shout out to R.M. Brown. Shout out to all of our friends and listeners, and shout out to Mia. Thanks for waiting for my long gaps in text back. All of my friends who do that.
It's okay. It's understandable.
And Wendy, and all
Kelsey
of
and
those,
Humby and
Kelsey.
Zach and whoever
I probably
else. I don't
haven't.
think Kelsey listens to this, but
Oh,
Why
shout out
would
to
she?
Zach. I know
Yeah.
I probably should have an unread message from Zach. No, but everybody and Discontent Provider, thanks for checking in too. I appreciate it.
and not vanilla opinions. They can
Yeah,
go suck a vanilla cunt. Damn it!
a pin
Don't start unless you have something.
Yeah, you're like, well, I was just trying, because
This isn't the place.
Creativity to me is just like, it's like a bird. Like,
anyway, it's getting too long. That's what she said.
That's not what she said.
She said no such thing. And yeah, I love you, and it's
you.
time to say,
Bitches leave.
okay. All right.
Amen.
Love you. Bye.